Hello, welcome to Chart's free webinar series. Today we welcome Becky Rice of White Castle, who's speaking on Blow Them Away with Discrepant Events. Welcome, Becky.
Thank you. Thank you, Tara, so much, and thank you guys for having me and letting me talk about something that I'm very passionate about. I saw that one of my coworkers is online, and he told me that before I ever do any kind of presentation, I'm supposed to tell you where I'm from, so you won't be distracted by my horrible accent. So I will tell you that I'm from Kentucky, and that's where the accent comes from, but I'm actually up in Ohio now. Been here for about 3.5 years with the wonderful company of White Castle. I'm a training and development manager here. And we do lots of different things, grand opening, training, and we do all the development and everything for our approximately 400 stores. So that's a little background of where I currently am. However, I wanted to share a little bit more about my background because it is what has fueled this presentation that you're about to see right here. So a lot of you are probably thinking, what in the world is a discrepant event? And of course I thought that as well, just 10 years ago or so. However, my background, I've got a biology degree from the University of Kentucky, and I've got a Master's of Arts in Teaching from the University of Louisville. So I used to teach high school biology. Right, exactly. So I did that for about 4.5 years. And if you know anything about high school students, they've got a lot going on. And I always found it was difficult to grab their attention during class. And so luckily, in my graduate work at the University of Louisville, I had a great professor and great fellow students, and we were able to dive into this discrepant event thing. So I'm going to describe it here in just a few minutes, but I also want to give you a little bit more background on myself that kind of shows why I have this kind of unorthodox way of teaching. I come from a background of a lot of different training and teaching experiences. Right out of college, I was actually a bird trainer. Okay, so training birds is not much different than training humans, but I did 3 shows a day, the amphitheater type bird shows that you've seen. But we used a lot of positive reinforcement with the animals, and so, like I said, it's very, very similar. So then I was a zookeeper as well, worked with some orangutans and tigers right after that bird training position. And then I decided I wanted to go back to school. So I decided to go back and get my master's degree in teaching because I just loved talking to the people in the audience during the bird shows. So after that, I became the teacher that I talked about. During that time, I took some kids to the Galapagos Islands and just really tried to make my teaching experience and the students' experience something that was out of the ordinary. I've also been a museum educator, which means great things because as you're a museum educator, you get to do those quick little snippets, those 20-minute snippets in the museum as people walk around. I did explosions and all different kinds of things. So that's another reason why this discrepant event thing is so important to me. So when I finally came to corporate training at White Castle, I didn't want to, go away from the way I teach. That's not fair. It was effective in the past, and I wanted to make sure that it was effective here at White Castle. So I thought, how in the world could I use my discrepant events at White Castle? And so we'll go ahead and start the presentation now, and I'll show you guys how I did that. So here we go. All right. So what is a discrepant event? So it's a puzzling happening. It's a surprising phenomenon. It's an unexpected turn of events. It causes the observer to wonder why the event occurred as it did. It leaves the observer at a momentary or longer loss to explain what has taken place. It is almost always science-based. Now, a lot of people might equate this to magic. And I'm okay with that. I'm sure somebody out there in the science world wouldn't be okay with that. But it is a little bit like magic. Just think about when you see those shows and different things and something happens and your jaw drops. You're just confused on what happened. And what's that first instinct for you? The first instinct for you is, I want to know more. I want to know more. And what a beautiful thing, right, for our participants to say, I want to know more. I want to know more. So that's why I thought I could bring discrepant events to White Castle. And I did. So why should we use discrepant events, especially in the corporate world? If any of you are, well, most of you are probably in hotel and restaurants. So the most important thing is they engage the participant. They motivate the participant to learn. They give credibility to the presenter. I'm going to say something here that if any of my coworkers are on the line, they probably are going to laugh at me, but I love doing it for credibility, because like at the end of our White Castle University or something, if one of the team members that was here can't remember much about the entire week, a lot of times they'll be like, oh, remember Becky did that one thing. Okay, so that's not the greatest thing if they just remember that, but I think it's great that they remember me and my presentation. So if somebody just is not really, you know, feeling your vibe or something like that, this helps to give credibility to you and to have the participant be like, wow, that person is crazy and they know what they're doing. So that's another reason I do the credibility thing. So they also help participants make analogies and connections to the content you are teaching. This was one of the biggest struggles for me as a high school teacher. I taught, my very first year I taught in an inner city school in Florida, in Tampa, Florida. And I didn't have a whole lot in common with the students that I was teaching. Then I taught in a very rural setting in Tennessee. Talk about night and day. Well, I didn't have a whole lot with some of those children as well. So the key to teaching is making those connections to the real life that they have at home. You all can imagine teaching science to people who, you know, have to take care of their kids or their sisters and brothers at night, you know, have to stay up really late, or maybe they have 2 or 3 jobs after they leave school. You know, they're not going to want to listen to me teach them about, you know, cells and cellular respiration and all that kind of stuff. So I had to be able to reach them, and a great way to do that is to make connections between what we're learning and their life at home. And these discrepant events help to make those connections and analogies. They also help participants see things differently. A lot of times, I mean, I'm guilty of it as well. A lot of times we take our past experiences and it molds, obviously it molds what happens with us and what we see going forward. I know that with White Castle, we have great longevity at this company. And we have people that have been here for 20, 30, 40 years. And it's so fun to see sometimes somebody come up with an idea and somebody will say, well, I never thought of it that way, or I never thought that. And it's probably because they've been doing kind of the same thing for so long. And it's just a beautiful thing to see. And so these discrepant events help to break that barrier between what people have experienced in the past and what they can, you know, have the potential to see in the future. They also make otherwise boring presentations fun and exciting. This is a big key. If somebody, you know, if you have an arsenal of these in your back pocket, then you can, if things seem to be going kind of downhill in your presentation, you can kind of throw one of these out and just to bring people back in order to make sure that they're listening to you, that they're paying attention. Because what happens is once they've seen one of these, they kind of sit there in their chair and they're thinking, when's she going to do the next one? Or when's he going to do the next one? I don't want to miss it. And I want to be paying attention to make sure that I see it. One thing I want to say before I go any further, this webinar format is very difficult for me because I usually feed off of people. And as you can tell, I like to have my training be very interactive. So this is a very different format for me. At this point, I probably would have already asked you all 100 questions and you all would have been, you know, giving me feedback as well. So it may not last the whole hour. The reason I say that is because when I do this class with people in person, I actually have us go through the discrepant events and you guys would participate as well. Go through the discrepant events, but because I'm doing it and I'm used to doing them, you know, it's probably going to go a little faster. I know all of you all are busy, so you might not be too upset if I end a little earlier. So we'll see. All right, so probably the biggest question that you all are thinking right now is that you don't teach science and that you don't have a science background. You don't have a biology degree. You don't have, you know, a physics degree or any kind of degree like that. And what I wanted to tell you is that it doesn't matter. Discrepant events, although they're usually presented to teach science topics, can be used in all kinds of learning situations. So what else can they teach? We already talked about the connections and the analogies that these discrepant events can make with the learning that you're teaching your hotel or restaurant employees. But they also can teach the following. They can teach that things aren't always what they seem. How important is that in the restaurant and hotel industry? Very important. Things aren't always what they seem. A lot of times you have a problem, I'll say at the castle level, which would be our terminology for what we say, but you may have a problem at the castle, and it takes looking at a situation differently in order to find out that things aren't always what they seem, and there may be a bigger problem or a smaller problem along the way. And these can help bridge those connections. They also can teach that you may not always have adequate information to make informed decisions. This is a really big one. You'll see as we do the discrepant events here in just a few minutes that you don't always have everything you need in order to make those informed decisions. At the castle level, like I said, you have a problem, you may not have all the information from each employee. It just will help you realize that you may be missing something. I use discrepant events mostly for leadership skills. Time management, feedback mechanisms, motivation techniques, and teamwork. You'll see that most of the ones that I show you today will focus on teamwork and some of those motivation techniques. Lastly, one of the most important things that they can teach these discrepant events is expectations. This will help you recognize if you have high or low expectations. One thing that I always strived to do as a high school biology teacher was to have high expectations. And I'll tell you, every day walking in that classroom and having disgruntled students that didn't want to learn, it was very hard to keep high expectations. I wanted to lower them and lower them and lower them so that I would not be disappointed on a daily basis. But the thing is, if you keep your expectations really high, I guarantee people will meet them. And that's something that I try to strive in our department, is a lot of times we're like, well, they're not using the training materials. Let's just make it really easy and just make it a one-pager and blah, And, my thing is, let's think about it differently, and let's look at the way we have our training materials. Yes, we definitely need to do that. But let's just don't lower our expectations just because they're not meeting them at that time. Everybody loves a challenge, and we need to make sure that we give them that challenge by keeping our expectations really high. And going through these discrepant events, you may notice that you, right from the beginning, have low expectations. We do. It's human nature. We don't want to be disappointed, and so we kind of keep things low. Sometimes I'm a little optimistic. I have my expectations a little high. I'll say as a woman, sometimes we do that as well. We want the men to read our minds, but we can't do that. And it's the same thing in business. So overall, discrepant events help make connections and analogies between the participants' real life and what you are teaching them. All right. So the first discrepant event I'm going to talk to you guys about is something called the Stroop effect. So John Ridley Stroop, in 1935, published his Stroop effect. And he ended up coming up with a Stroop test. And the Stroop test was just a psychological test to kind of test people's, to see if this Stroop effect is really true. And it kind of helped him figure out the way the brain works and the connections that are made inside the brain. And so I want you guys to try this one on your own. So I'm going to show you the next slide, and there's going to be, I can go ahead and show it to you. Some of you may have seen this before. So on the screen there are words, and they are color words, blue, pink, gray, and they are in different colors. As you can see, they are in the correct color. So the color blue is the word blue. The word pink is colored pink, so on and so forth. So the way you do this, if you want to do this group test with anybody at home, you can make up a sheet just like this one. Make sure that the color word is the same as what the word is colored. That is really hard to say. I hope you understood what I was saying. So, we're going to, and then you would tell them, you would say, I'm going to show you a piece of paper, and on this piece of paper are words. Okay, this is how you would say it to them. On this piece of paper are words. And what I want you to do is tell me the color of the word, not what the word says. Okay, so for example, if I had the word bottle up here and it was written in green, I don't want them to say the word bottle. I want them to say the word green. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. I see some questions, so I guess Tara's taking care of that for me. Okay, so yes. So what you would do is you would cover this piece of paper up, and then whenever the person was ready, you would want them to try to do this as fast as they could. So say, all right, I'm going to show you these words, and I want you to tell me the color of the words as fast as you can. Okay? So then you would reveal the piece of paper, and they, of course, would be like blue, pink, gray, tan, green, red, black, white, yellow, orange, purple, brown. Okay? And they do it really, really fast. Okay? So then the next thing you do right after this is that you have another piece of paper. And on this piece of paper, you do this. Okay? So now we have a word, a color word, but it is colored the wrong color. Okay? So as you can see, blue is now colored green. Pink is now colored gray. So what you will do is, once again, hide the piece of paper from them, and then when they're ready, you say, I want you to tell me the color of the word, not the word, as fast as you can. So I'm going to make a fool of myself real quick, and I'm going to do this for you all. So let's see how fast I am on this one. Ready? Here we go. Blue, pink, gray, tan, green, red, black, white, yellow, orange, purple, brown. Okay, pretty fast, right? I'm pretty impressed with myself. Yes, I am. Okay, so now let's try the next one. I'm going to try to do the next one as fast as I can. Here we go. Green, gray, purple, white, yellow, blue, brown, orange, pink, brown, red, black. Okay, so it's hard. Okay, so you all know that if you were to read an entire report and it was written in green ink, it wouldn't matter. The words matter. Our brain has been trained to let us know that the colors of words do not matter. Okay, so I'm going to put it back real quick on the next slide, and I'm going to let you guys try real quick. So everybody, as fast as you can, say the colors of the words. Okay, go. All right, everybody should be done with that one really quick. Now, I'm going to change the slide, and I want you guys to do the next one as fast as you can. Everybody ready? Here we go. Fast. Okay, I gave you a little bit more time then. Hopefully that was fun for everybody, but it's just frustrating, you know? I'm 40 years old and I can't do this. It's just ridiculous. So what happens, this is kind of a discrepant event. It's a great activity, but at the same time, it's a discrepant event because when the high school students or the hotel and restaurant employees are finished with this, they're going to be so frustrated. They're going to be like, what happened? What's going on with my brain? And that is the exact moment that learning is going to take place. When that brain is open like that, that's when you can get that, you know, operational procedure in there or something like that, because they're going to connect this really crazy activity that they just did to something that you really want them to learn. So what can we learn from the Stroop effect? So one thing that's relevant for us is change management. okay? Lots of changes going on with technology and with, you know, mostly technology, but, you know, structures in restaurants and structures in hotels, they're ever changing. And so I think this is a great little activity to stick into a class that you're talking about um, change management. So what does it mean to change? It hurts, right? You stumble, you fall. So this, the previous one here, this was it. This was easy. This was our routine. This is what we're used to. So when change happens, this represents your change. And how difficult was it for you to change your mindset to get the expectation and the result that you wanted? It took a while. I sat here and stared at the color black for several minutes, trying to figure out what in the world color that was. I just wanted to say black, okay? So I think this is one of the best ones for change management. It will really help your team members open their eyes to the fact that, yes, change is hard, and we want things to be back to the correct color with the correct word. It also could teach us training. Let's say we have a certified trainer in our organization. And one of the biggest problems that our certified trainers have is frustration and patience. And so what I would do here is if I had a certified trainer, I would show them this first slide. And I would say, this is how you operate. You're on autopilot. You can do this with your eyes closed. Blue, pink, blue, pink, gray, tan, green, really fast. This, the next one, represents your new trainee. Okay? They know these words. They know these colors. They're familiar with some of the things that you're trying to teach them, but it's not a habit yet. It's not something that is easy. So this will help the trainer, your certified trainer, put themselves in the position of the trainee and taking what you think are easy concepts and realize that they're not. Okay, this will help your trainer put themselves in the trainee's shoes. And then feedback mechanisms too. Also, if you have a certified trainer and they're not real keen on giving feedback, this might be a way to help, once again, put them in the trainee's shoes and help them to be a little bit more sympathetic when it comes to providing feedback. Okay, I hope y'all enjoyed the Stroop effect. Once again, you can look that up online and you can print off your own little color blocks, as long as you have a good printer. My printer at home, it probably all come out like black and purple and everything else. So make sure you have a good color in your printer before you print it out. But yes, you probably can find a ready-made color sheet online. So